Justice SCOTUS rules in Dobbs v. Jackson that abortion was not constitutionally protected because it was not deeply rooted in this nation's history and tradition. You're fucking with me. First recorded evidence of induced abortion is from the Egyptian papyrus. What the fuck? All right, so Alabama. It's a state. It kind of sucks. It's in the South. Those two things are usually come one after another. Yeah. Sweet is certainly a not a descriptor I would actually use for Alabama. But so in the 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Alabama, there is an argument that trans healthcare is apparently not deeply rooted in history and or isn't valid as a, I don't know what, scientific medical field, I suppose. Let's take a look. I saw this headline and I kind of am like, I can't help but just be a bit worried by some of this language. Alabama trans healthcare ruling is a worry omen for the future SCOTUS decision. 11th Circuit Court pulled from Dobbs v. Jackson to argue trans healthcare isn't, quote, deeply rooted in history. So let's find out what the fuck that even means. 3 Trump-appointed, shocker there, federal judges ruled on Monday to allow one of the country's harshest bans on gender-affirming care for minors to go into effect. In Alabama, a doctor who treats a trans person under 19 years old. You remember when they said it was about the kids? Remember how that was the thing? It's just about leaving the kids alone? But now you can't get care unless you're 19, which is an entire year above what we determine is legally an adult. Crazy that, huh? With puberty blockers, trans person, let's see. A doctor who treats a trans person under 19 years old with puberty blockers or hormones could now face felony charges carrying up to 10 years in prison. Oh, keep in mind also, this is also a scare tactic. No doctor now will ever in the state will ever give you those treatments because now they don't want to go to jail for 10 months. Of course, this isn't rooted in history. We just accomplished it. Let's see. The 11th, also, I don't know what they mean by rooted in history. Like, this trans people have existed for quite a while. We just haven't had the medical technology only just caught up. The 11th U.S., it's like, oh, yeah, the atomic bomb, not rooted in history. Yeah, no shit, because we didn't have all the resources to build it into a certain point. Like, yeah, like it's all there. You just kind of, you have to collect everything to get it there. The 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals decision reversed an injunction that temporarily blocked the healthcare ban and stands at odds with the majority of federal court decisions on the issue so far. Oh, I need more water. The majority of federal court decisions, the disturbing ruling gives the clearest outline yet of the reactionary judicial logic that could be used to decimate trans people's right to necessary health care should the issue be taken up by the far-right Supreme Court. The very same reasoning used to end the right to abortion. Oh, lovely. Justice SCOTUS rules in Dobbs v. Jackson that abortion was not constitutionally protected because it was not deeply rooted in this nation's history and tradition. Who gives a shit? Well, wait a minute. Wait. Something isn't constitutional because it's not deeply rooted in the nation's history and tradition? Excuse me. Black people not being property was also not deeply rooted in this nation's history or traditions, and yet we freed the slaves and made an entire amendment to the Constitution to make sure that black people weren't property anymore, or anybody for that matter. But what, like, the 11th Circuit state, like, what does that even mean? Like, what? I just can't. Couldn't you get abortions back then? When, like, you could get abortions like super early. How long have abortions been around? I'm pretty sure abortions are not some new technology. Let's see. When you're fucking with me. First recorded evidence of induced abortion is from the Egyptian papyrus. What the fuck? Oh, it is the South. They definitely want slaves again. What the fuck? abortion isn't rooted in history. Only it's only been around since the fucking Paleolithic era. Jesus Christ. I didn't expect that. I expected like, I don't know, I don't know. I didn't expect BC. Like that was not on my bingo card. Jesus, BC? Oh my god, these people are fucking clowns. The use of these medications in general, let alone, okay, sorry. They have just stated the parent, okay. Not deeply rooted in this nation's history and tradition. The 11th Circuit stated that parents do not have a fundamental right to direct the transition-related medical care of their children. So wait a minute. Parents have a fundamental right to the medical care of their children, except this one specific instance when it comes to transition. Because, like, parents will say, how many, we all hear it every single time. Parental rights, parental rights, parental rights, parental rights. But they just said it out loud. Parental rights except for things we don't agree with. Oh, man. There's blatant and then there's that. The use of these medications in general, let alone for children, almost certainly is not deeply rooted in our nation's history and tradition. Judge Barbara Lagoa wrote, citing the Dobbs decision. Yeah, medications that didn't exist before. First of all, we've had hormone therapy and puberty blockers for what, 20 plus years? Is that not history? Maybe not deeply rooted, but it's deeply rooted for me. It's my entire lifetime. And like, do you notice though, let alone for children? This means that they're coming, this doesn't end with kids, by the way. This doesn't end with children. It starts with this, but it will eventually just turn into no person has a fundamental right to the direct to their own transition. Like they've already set this precedent. Although there are records of transgender or otherwise gender nonconforming individuals from various points of history, shocker there, noted the ruling, the earliest recorded uses of puberty blocking medication and cross-sex hormone treatment for the purposes of treating the discordance between the individual's biological sex and the sense of gender identity did not occur until well into the 20th century. Who cares? What is this? This is what, never evolve fucking medicine? If medicine discovered in the 20th century isn't old enough, do they want us to, you know what's deeply rooted? You know what's deeply rooted in American history and medicine? Dumping fucking leeches on people. Is that the only thing? Is that the bar here? It needs to be deeply rooted. So like when I'm getting my cancer treatment, they'll be like, whoa. That cancer treatment was only created in the 21st century. Wouldn't you rather, we think as a Supreme Court, as a group of judges, that you should instead, waylay that 21st century medicine and douse yourself with thousands, if not millions of leeches. This is the deeply rooted medical practice here in the United States. We are a leech kind of country right here. That's our traditions. It's ridiculous. It's fucking stupid. Fucking idiotic. This is, by the way, why you should never have these sorts of people, government officials, involved in your healthcare. It should just never. This is not the field in which they are appropriately competing in. That is, trans youths have no right to the medicine they need because that medicine is not hundreds of years old. The decision also implies that the same logic could also be used to find bans on adult trans health unconstitutional. Obviously, if it's not good enough for kids, if it's not old enough for kids, why is it old enough for adults? The deployment of Dobbs to deny established civil rights comes as no surprise when Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito's draft decision overturning Roe v. Wade leaked. It was clear that the, quote, history and tradition standard would be invoked again to hack away at an array of rights and legal precedents hard won in the last century. Yeah, and again, history and tradition. We have a history and tradition of owning black people. I don't think that's something that we should bring back just because it's within our traditions. To demand that enumerated rights be deeply rooted in U.S. history and tradition is, after all, to insist that only the rights of propertied white men are recognized as fundamental, as Alito and his Christo nationalist allies well know. The AR-15 assault weapon, what the fuck, was only invented, quote, well into the 20th century, too, but can be sure that such an argument from history would do little to aid gun control advocates in court. Too much is at stake. Oh my God, they're so right. That's such a good point. Stop. God, that's actually a brilliant point. Because yeah, they would argue, like, you can't argue that like laws, like you can't make this argument and then be like, oh yeah, but you can totally have, you know, fucking Billy at age 10 can have an AR-15 because it's its constitutional right. Are you insane? That wasn't made. If we went by this, everyone should still be shooting muskets and stabbing themselves with shitty, dull, war, like Western British swords or whatever the fuck. What are those things called? What are like the swords that they used in that? That's like, is that a cavalier? Am I crazy? Right? Sword? Right? I'm so fucking right. God damn it. I'm so goddamn smart. I was really pulling that one out of my ass. Oh, wait. No, I was right. What are you doing? Yeah. Yeah, like this should be, if we are using an originalist reading of the goddamn Constitution, this is your keep and bear arms, you bastards. Fucking out here. This is your keep and bear arms. This is all you get. A nice fancy sword. Fucking idiots. Anyway, too much is at stake in our collective struggle for bodily autonomy to entertain the fantasy that pointing out right-wing hypocrisy undermines right-wing rule. And this is incredibly true. They don't care. When the first trans youth healthcare bans were heard by federal courts this past year, it was heartening that judges in state after state saw the bans for what they are, at odds with scientific consensus, ideologically driven, discriminatory, and likely unconstitutional, and blocked them. Even in some notorious conservative courts, federal judges from Florida to Kentucky to Arkansas agreed that arguments treating youth gender-affirming care as untested and dangerous are simply not based in fact. Only one other federal court, the Sixth Circuit, has reversed an injunction and permitted a ban on trans youth health care to go through in Tennessee. With the circuit split on the issue, it is even more likely that a case will soon go before the Supreme Court. The 11th Circuit ruling gives a chilling taste of what a SCOTUS decision could look like, poorly argued and drenched in the sort of authoritarian dogma that the nation's highest court is known to embrace. Yep. Let's be really clear about this. They don't want trans people to exist. That's really all it is. They don't like trans people for whatever weird, insecure reasons, and they will do whatever it is that they need to do, pass whatever laws, whatever restrictions, put pressure on doctors, put pressure on parents, put pressure on schools to make trans people's lives, especially kids, because you got to get them early, miserable, so that they, never evolve to their full and most powerful state. You see, what they truly fear is a fully and armed trans populace. That's what they really fear. They are worried because at the end of the day, like, their fear is idiotic and hyperbolic. So, it's why they say stuff like, oh, they're trying to trans the kids. Like, they genuinely, I sometimes wonder, maybe they don't genuinely believe this. Maybe they're just bigots. But some of them, you got to bet, probably genuinely believe that there is like this mass transing of kids. Like, there's going to be just a fucking they-them army out there ready to take out the South or something. Like, but, they're going to do whatever it is they got to do. And they don't care if they make bad arguments. They don't care if their arguments don't make any sense. As long as it does the thing that they want done, which is oppress and hopefully just kind of, filter out trans people as early as possible in life. But, all I can say is if you're in Alabama, vote for Democrats. That's the best thing I can say. move or maybe vote for Democrats, but probably have a plan to move out of the state at some point. Same with Florida, same with really, if you live in the South, just plan on moving eventually. You know the thing that they tell, like at the end of all YouTube videos where they tell you to like click on one of these like things to watch more videos. Yeah, I've been meaning to film one of those. So that's what I was doing. I was just setting it up to film one.